I'm so excited. I've been waiting a couple weeks now for my next delivery for the Warhammer Age of Sigmar, the Mortal Realms magazine. I did my videos for the first three magazines, and it was about three to 4 weeks between that and kind of making those videos and then getting this pack here. Only because the first two magazines from that were just really... They were more basic and they were easy to put together. And by the third one, that's where it started to get a little bit more complex. And I'm looking forward to this now, because I've got the 4th edition here, the fourth issue. We're going to go through this right now. And then I'll have to get on to working out about the next 4 weeks of hobby things. Alright, let's have a look at this. So, chuck my rubbish aside there. So, cool thing is, we do get a technical paint, which is Nihilac oxide. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a really wispy sort of bluey, greeny colour, which you add to your Wraiths, and it gives them like this really cool blue sort of effect. I think from the sounds of it, this is much more liquidy than the previous paints. Just gonna have a look. Yeah, this is like this is not a thick paint. This is really runny, so I feel like this is gonna be really easy to get a lot on the brush and kind of almost oversaturate. So I'm gonna have to practice with this a bit. Good thing we've got heaps of models now to paint with. I've got the first 10 Wraiths, and then the 4 that come in the 30 issue. Like, there's heaps of Wraiths. So that's going to be awesome going through those. Actually, that was the second issue that those came. I don't even know what issue it came through now. Second issue came with all the Wraiths. So yeah, you get a technical paint, which is really nice. It's good to get the extra paint. So we've got 3 up here now. Slowly starting to work on that collection. So as we go through it, we'll actually get to go and collect a whole lot of paints, which will make painting a lot easier. We do get a sprue of some models here. These are the Glaivewraith Stalkers. So these guys are pretty cool because they have like little blades. They're big blades. They're like spears almost. And I love the detailed grounds that you're getting on these now. You don't actually have to do much other than paint them. So I kind of went with the... Essentially, in the magazines, it just said to paint the bases the same colour. So we did that previously, and we discovered that in this process, priming them with a spray primer is so much better than just going straight with that base coat of the gold. So I'm going to stick with doing the spray primers like I have. So for my Wraiths, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do like a grey and then a white over the top. So it's 2 layers, so it's a little bit darker white, because the Corax white is darker than the spray paint that I've got. So we're going to definitely spray these guys for the prime. And then when it comes to doing the Stormhost guys, I'm just going to do like a Zenithal spray. So grey with like a white shadowy bit on top. Just gives a little bit of contrast, makes some of the paint look a little bit darker in certain spots. We're going to practice that as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to go through and start making some more models for the game. Still haven't played a game. I mean, I was on holidays when I started these recordings, but I've got 10 weeks of work, so 9 weeks now, because it's the end of the first week of the term already. So 9 weeks until it's summer holidays here in Australia, which means I get a big break to just work out how to play this. And at that point, my house will be kind of in the process of starting to be actually physically built, because all contracts and that will hopefully be signed, and it will just be handed over to the builders to get set up. So at that point, I won't be as stressed with things going on in my life. I will be able to actually spend some time just enjoying a hobby. And like I was saying, I wanted to do something to get into a hobby, and this was that perfect thing. It was really fun. It's just, I was looking forward to getting more. And now that we've got more, it's going to be quite a long journey, because I have to go back and add extra colour to the previous models. So, as I just drop everything on the floor, you get a bigger game mat for this pack. I mean, look at that. Massive. So I can hardly even hold this up in camera, but you can see it's my arm's width. That's massive. And if you compare that to the one that we got in the first issue, it's 8 of these. It folds out to 8. Like the size of that. So that's awesome. I'm actually really excited about that. Just gonna chuck that in my little drawer over here where I have all the kind of game mats and pieces and spare bits while we get to look at the actual issue of issue 4. Really excited about this. And then after we've gone through this issue, obviously I go through my time-lapse sort of thing, my fast approach at looking at building and painting these models up to the standard that it says in this magazine. I won't be recording painting the models from the other set, but I will do a little bit of a add-in sort of post in between issue videos where I show you the progress of the other models. So for this video, we're just going to be focusing on completing the set that came in this issue, and then in a later in-between video I'll do like an update of the progress of the other models as we go. Something like that. But this is really cool. So we've got all about the Glaivewraiths here, the Stalkers, and then it's got 2 Spectral Hunters, Winsome Verm and Zinkarn. So these are 2 specialty dudes there that it goes into a description of as well. And then you've got, what's this about? The Stormcast Eternals Sacrosanct Chambers. Okay, that'll be a bit of a read up later on. What I'm finding is these, I found issue 3 as well, it just fell apart. Like, as I opened it, it fell apart. So I kind of have to keep it together because I don't get my binders until my next delivery. So I kind of need it to hold together, at least until the second delivery, and then I can kind of pull them apart and assemble them into, like this page just fell straight out when I opened it up. So when I get the binders, I'm going to break it up into different sort of categories, but we'll see how we go. But there's this cool thing here with all the Lords of the Stormcasts. That is really cool. I guess getting to know more elite characters as well. And then we've got Realms for the Necroquake. This is actually really cool. Cool issue. So it's got all the different things. Azir, Realm of Heavens. That's awesome. And then Purge of Chaos. It's got some, like, I guess, history and story there. I'm going to have to stop turning this around. I'm going to have to open up this other camera because this is not working. But cool thing is we do have the build guide for these dudes here. Let's actually get up here and have a look. For the Glaivewraith Stalkers. I'm so glad that this camera is actually recording now. It's actually really nice having that better card in there to be able to get the recordings done. So it actually has, so using the numbers on the sprue, clip out the components for each model and lay them out on the optional pieces will be marked in the guide. So you can see over here, so this is what I just read in, there's optional pieces for this kit again. So you get to choose which parts that you want to put together for your Stalkers. I don't know which one I would want to do. So you get to choose some here. Would I do that holding the drum or using the actual glaive thing there? So I'm actually thinking for this one, I'm actually go for the drum because you've got 3 other guys. Is it 2 or 3 guys in this one? So you've got some guys. Or is it just the 2 guys? Is this only 2? No, it's not 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. There's 4. So because there's 3, I think it was right there. Because there's 3 other guys, it just looked weird in that in the sprue there. But because there are 3 dudes there, I'm actually thinking I'm going to go with that drum. You can kind of like be the inspiration there. And here's the cool thing. So we've already painted up all our models as well. So they're sitting right there for me to do later. We get to apply this paint as well. So it says you need the Corax White to undercoat the Glaivewraith Stalkers and the Nihilarch Oxide to paint all of your Nighthaunt. So essentially, it's giving you a little bit of a guide of how you can go and paint. So that's putting that base coat on there. And then we get to come back here and we get to put on some of this shade over the top, which is really cool. So you kind of get like a awesome... It kind of gives them a bit of a light glow. So you get some of that white coming through, but you also get like that blue aspect to it. and you kind of just want the ends to almost be white. So that's something there as well. So gonna be interesting. So you want to make sure it's dry. So you do 3 coats of the base, and then we're just doing 1 coat of the technical paint by the look of it. So you do get that white shining through. So it's going to be interesting. I guess there's a different paint that we get to use that adds a deeper blue on it as well. Ghostly green, set them aside to dry. Yeah, so in a later issue, I'm assuming, because if you look at the models on the front of this issue, there's a darker, well, if that show probably, there's a darker blue here. So that greeny blue color that we're putting on there really just is supposed to kind of be light, 1 single coat, so the white is still coming through with it. There you go. And then the cool thing is we get a guide on a new battle report that you can play as well. So the ambush, the Glaivewraith ambush, this is cool. So it's the Castigators versus the Glaivewraith Stalkers. So the 3 that you got in the last set, you get to put up against the Glaivewraiths in this, and it's got their little battle report about how it could play out as well. So it kind of just teaches you how you can use it. And then at the end as well, you've got your War Scrolls. So this is War Scrolls for the characters that could be used in this thing as well. So you've got the Horde, you've got the Banshees, you've got the Gryph-hounds, you've got the Secretors, and you've got the Castigators, and the Glaivewraith Stalkers there. So it's really cool. So it's got the sequence of play and everything, and then it gives you that little bit of info about never missing an issue because you get to subscribe. So that's actually really cool. I really like that. And then tells you about the issues coming up. So, look, I'm really enjoying this subscription. It gives me something to look forward to as like the weeks go by, and something to kind of do over breaks and weekends, and sometimes later at night when I'm just wanting to do something for myself and a bit of a hobby that's not playing video games. Like, as much as I love video games, I wanted to get away from that screen, and this way I can focus on, like, I can listen to something on my phone while I'm actually going ahead and building these things. So it kind of gives me something else to do in that aspect. The only thing that I guess is disappointing in the fact of subscribing is the subscriber number they sent me doesn't actually work when I go onto their own website to kind of track it. So I have to rely on just the emails or calling, and I just wish there was, like, the online portal was working for that. And I did have to track it a little bit to kind of find out some information about my subscription details as well, because that didn't get sent through to me straight away. So that's my only negative thing. There was a little bit of, like, admin. But I will say that with everything going on this year, there's also difficulties in terms of just general workforces as well, because we've had all that, you know, COVID stuff, and it's not the greatest stuff to deal with. So, you know, I don't blame them for that. So that's just been like one little negative thing to start off. But actually getting the issues, I love the issues. I just feel like the other thing is, I guess they're falling apart a little bit. But they're designed that you can put them in the binders, and you can break them up however you want as well. So I'm just looking forward to getting my binder, because I don't want all these, like, I don't want to accidentally knock it off the table and have the pages all fall out all over the place, because I don't want to have to sort it out. But other than that, I'm enjoying this so far. But we're going to get into putting together these bad boys, having a look at them closer when they're detailed and put together, and then painting them up into the stage where we put on the paint that we just got in this set as well, this issue as well. So yeah, let's have a look at that, and I'll catch up to you at certain points throughout the rest of this video. So I've just finished putting together the Glaivewraith Stalkers. Some of the parts didn't seem to fit as well as I would have liked, but we got there in the end. I'm just cleaning up a little bit because as I started to assemble these guys, the magazine for issue 4 literally just fell apart. So that wasn't too fun. It just, I don't know, it just all fell apart. So I'm really looking forward to at least getting a binder so I can kind of manage to go through things a little bit better and organize things as I go. So that will be something that will hopefully come in the future. But here we go. These are my guys here. Hopefully the camera will focus. Otherwise I'll switch it to manual because I want to stay on my face. Let's quickly do this. So these are my guys. They look cool. This is the one with the drum. Now, the one thing I found, so I am gluing them together, but this dude here, the drum dude, and this last one here, they have, I think it's the last one. Yeah, and actually these three, their wrists kind of connect to the weapon. So you have to kind of glue them if you don't want a massive gap, because they don't seem to fit together that well. So that was a little bit disappointing, because these guys look awesome. And then you have the wrists that are just like separate. So that's one thing that I'm not too happy with. But what we're going to do, I'm not going to do a lot of stops between the basing and the priming, the basing, and the green paint. I'm only going to kind of come and jump in between and show you like the progress as I go, only because it's going to make this video ridiculously long if I show every single part, because essentially we've got to paint them and then paint them again, and yeah, I don't think you want to be watching like a video that's going to be like an hour long. But I'll prime these up and then get to putting on Corax White. I will jump in and show you when we're putting on the this one here, which kind of separated to colour it. This one, when we're applying this, because this is a new paint, I'll show you that application. But I won't go through like the basing, because you've already seen it with these guys here as we put on that base coat. So yeah, I'll jump in at the next spot where we're looking at these a little bit painted. So I've just finished spray painting the primer onto it and letting it start to dry. So it's the second coat that's on here now. So I did a grey one over it, and then I did the white. So it's a little bit darker than when I first put these guys together. So it's a little bit closer in colour, with the grey underneath primed with the white over the top. So I'm not actually going to use the Corax White as a base on these guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it with the technical paint that we got in this previous issue, and I'm going to go through all of these guys in one shot. So I've got to let these guys dry just a little bit more before I start, but we're going to put the technical paint on every single Wraith that we've made so far. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, only because I haven't done a technical paint before. So we'll see how that goes. But looking at the instructions here, once you've got that coat on there, you just cover it with, looks like a single layer of the technical paint. So it says it's excellent for applying an eerie spectral effect to your Nighthawk models. You will paint it over the entire model. So it says load the brush with the paint, then push the I can't even pronounce it, the technical paint around the model, ensuring it covers all the details. And it says try to apply the paint fairly quickly, as it can cause tide marks when it pulls and dries in recesses. If it starts to pull, use your brush to push the paint across the model. So then it's got the 3 pictures here, and it says paint all your chain rasps with a coat of this. Remember to paint the undersides of the robes. Paint your Mirmorn Banshees as well. They have a lot of grooves, and recesses in their robes, so watch for paint pooling. And then finally paint your Glaivewraith Stalkers. Make sure that the correct white paint has dried before applying the technical paint. So essentially all we're doing is just covering every single model with this, and then later on we actually do a dry brush with the Koroks white over it again. If you look ahead in future issues, that's kind of where we're going to add some depth and effects to it. So although we're only putting one layer on all these guys, it's going to take a little bit of work because we have, what have we got, 18? So there's 10 from the first set, 18 that we have to go over in this issue. And I believe in issue 6, there's more that we'll be doing this sort of method with as well. But we'll address that when we get to that. So we've done the base coat. I'm going to make sure that's dry, and then I'm going to paint all of them. I'll show you painting the ones that we got in this issue 4. The what are they? The Glaivewraith Stalkers. I'll show you the detail of painting those, but I won't worry about doing the other 14 in this video. You might see me doing a little bit of them, but I don't want to have a ridiculously long video where I go over every single model. I'll show you the end product in another video in between the issues, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get enough to complete every single issue in the span of the 4 weeks if I'm making videos for them, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, a couple minutes, you'll see the progress on these bad boys. Alright, so the camera cut out while I was filming before. I've actually painted 8 of the Wraiths with the technical paint. I will say that it's come out a lot darker, at least to the eye. In the camera it looks, with the light especially, it looks the same, or almost the same as it does in the magazine, but to my eye sitting here, it's come out a little bit darker, and I can see in some place there was just a little bit of pooling, which made it look a little bit funny, because you've got darker patches. But I think once you do the dry brush over it and put some white back on top, I think it will look alright. Yeah, it's just... It was really hard to apply it, I think, as a first time user of that paint. So I've still got these guys to go, the 10 original Wraiths that we got. But you can see there's definitely a difference in the colour. Yeah. So you got some green dudes, bluey dudes, and the white ones here. Now let's get these nice and close. Let's have a look, see if this will actually be nice and focused for me as well. There we go. So there's, yeah, it's like it's not too bad, but it is just a little bit darker than what it makes it out to be in the magazine. Particularly in the magazine, let's get to this page here. Like, I don't know, it says don't water it down, but look how light that is. Like, if you look at just this, it's like showing that it's almost white. So mine came out really dark, so I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how this is in the end. I'm not too sure. Not overly happy with how it came out. But I guess it's just practice, so these ones might, you know, be a lot darker than ones that I have in the future. But I'm going to paint the rest of these guys off camera and see how that comes out. Also to note, these four closest to the camera at the moment had the Corax White only applied on them. These ones on this side didn't use Corax White. And I will say, the ones that I didn't use the Corax White on do have a lot more bright colour tone to them compared to the ones that did have the Corax White on them. But the pooling is really dark on that, whereas on the other ones, where it's pooled, it kind of does blend back a little bit more. I don't know, I just wanted it to be whiter, or lighter, than it's come out. So, that's my progress with that at the moment, and that brings us to the end of issue 4 of the Mortal Realms. Kind of left me on a little bit of a sour note, just because I'm not too happy with it, so I'm hoping that in future episodes, or future issues I should say, when I start painting others, that I'll get just a little bit more of a hang of how to use the technical paint. And it says, so I'll read this out to you right here, so I read it multiple times before I started. Let's get back to this page. So it says that it is a thin paint. This means you do not need to thin it with water. In addition, you will need to collect quite a lot on your brush before you paint it on. The most important thing to remember with this paint is it will dry fairly quickly, so you will need to make sure you do not allow it to pool too much in the recesses of this model. When I got a lot on the brush, kind of like the way that described it to me, the way that it appeared that I had to use it, it actually, it pooled because of that. But then at the other times I had like a dry brush, it like really dried out the brush, so it was really hard to apply compared to putting on that base coat. Because you water down that base coat, you get it to a good consistency. So that's just something to consider when you're going through with these as a beginner to painting, that it does get a little bit more difficult with these technical paints. We do have, in upcoming videos, we've got the layer paint and the shade here to go over the top of some of the Stormhost guys. So we'll see how that comes out. And I believe we're going to go back and paint probably in a different colour. Probably not this silver. This is more so for highlighting on the Stormcast Eternals. There will be other colours for the weapons, which I guess is more of like an iron or a grey sort of colour. So we'll come across that later on. So we'll see how this shade kind of, well, this, is it a shade? Technical paint kind of looks when we come back and add other colours onto it. I'm especially looking to see how it kind of looks once we put a dry brush of white on it, but let's just have a look at what issue we're going to be looking at that. So it wasn't this one. I'm pretty sure it didn't say at least until issue 6. Let's have a look at the painting guide for issue 6. what does it got here? Yeah, it just, the models in these pictures come out so much brighter and lighter in colour than what I've got here. So in issue 6, we're going to go back and do some dry brushing of Korok's white over the top of these guys. So hopefully that will bring out a lot more white to it. But we'll see what happens when we get to issue 6 and we try that. These videos are going to start taking a little bit longer to come out. I feel like it's going to take more than a week to kind of catch up as I go. Especially because, like, I'm trying to batch paint, but the more models I get, the longer it's going to take me to do everything. So I've got upcoming in next 2 videos, I've got this to build. So we're going to have that on top of literally this, this, and this. So it's going to start like building up, and there will be more to come as well, because in the first 2 issues of my next delivery, there's going to be another 1, 5, 6, 8 models that I'm going to be painting with an extra colour to add. So there's going to start being a little bit of a backlog between completion of a certain issue. I might have to split it into 2 if it's starting to get the videos are too long, or I might have to just really cut down and focus on just the models that come in the actual issue at the time. Because I know I painted an extra 4 here with the time that I had, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I hope you had a great day, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, consider subscribing, and yeah, look forward to the next video where we look at the exclusive model and issue 5. It's going to be exciting. Have a great day. Catch you next time.